We have reached that phase in the pandemic in which we started to talk about returning to play football. In fact, in Holland, I've decided that that's it. The league is finished, suspended, null, void. But everybody else are making an effort for football to return. I know that some Premier League clubs will like the season to be void, but I think they've got their own interests for it. They're not the ones who are about to win something. In any case, all the decision makers are trying to find a way for everybody to be confident that it's going to be safe to play football. And the leagues want it to happen very quickly. So we have put together a fantastic panel of 3 people with 3 different angles, and the 3 of them with a lot of experience: a doctor, a player, and a coach. So we've got Daniel Ayala, who is a Spanish footballer who plays as a centre defender for Middlesbrough. His first club was Liverpool. He spent 2 seasons there, and he's been on loan to Hull City, to Derby County, Nottingham Forest, joined Norwich City, and eventually joined Middlesbrough first on loan in October 2013. José Gomes is the former Reading manager, of course, and now head coach of Marítimo in the Portuguese league. And despite his young age, 49, he has been involved as a coach in different capacities in 6 countries. And also we've got Moya, Dr Francisco Moya is currently the Director of International Medical Services and a consultant in emergency and sport and exercise medicine at Vitas Shanit International Hospital in Malaga. What is it that the players have to do before they actually get to train together, for instance?
Well, it's being phased out. And mainly, the first thing that everybody's saying, like that we have to know the situation in terms of, like who is positive or not for coronavirus, all right? Because
so it involves a lot of testing. It involves just before a game, thousands of testing. But before that, also testing before started training. Is that right?
Yeah.
And what else? Give us details.
Well, it's mainly to do a big massive testing to everybody. We are talking about professional football, first and second division players, plus all the technical teams and all the people involved in football, etc., etc. So that's the first pool of measures. But then also, there are measures about, depending on the degree of confinement and the length of the confinement, is when the player can return to competition. And obviously, if for managers and players, that is obviously, and from the strength conditioning and all the other, technical guys, within a professional football team, obviously it's a plan, because we all know that to have elite players stopped, even if they have all the clubs are doing daily training sessions during the morning and trying to mimic the kind of the training sessions, because they are getting paid for that, and obviously they have to carry on working. But as you can imagine, no one has a football pitch, and you cannot recreate football in your home. But then once the confinement is stopped, even the plans tell you, depending on the length on confinement, you have for example, if it's more than 6 weeks, you have to have at least 1 month between when you start training and when you start playing. And because you have to do an adaptation from a professional footballer, from an elite sportsman, it's got to be an adaptation, or try to get them ready in terms of with some kind of guarantee that and safety. Not talking about COVID, I'm talking about more the muscular and the status overall of a player, to be able to compete.
Danny, you're hearing the detail of what's been done for you to start playing football, and you are hearing that outside the football world, obviously the fight continues. So your first thought, what is it? Do you think this all been rushed a little bit, or you think it's time for you to, display what you're doing at the moment, your profession?
Well, I think as a player, all you want to do is come back to play. But as well as a human, you just want to be healthy and make sure we're not getting any risk about getting COVID. Because at the end of the day, we got young families, and a lot of players got families, maybe all the people who live with them. And the main thing is just make sure because a lot of people have died from it. So it's quite a bad illness. So make sure everything is done correctly. It have to be a bit longer. We just have to wait and make sure we follow the protocols.
We obviously are battling here between the economy, the fact that the clubs needs to bring money in. They want to please the television broadcasters, of course, who paid in most cases even 90% of the income of the clubs. But at the same time, the health. And I think that's the position that you find, for instance, Jose, yourselves, the managers. You are in the middle of both. You are in the middle between what the clubs would like to do and what the players are feeling. You understand, you have the bigger picture, but you want to be close to the players too. Do you feel a little bit you are on your own on this battle to get football back to be played?
Yeah, I think yes, because we are training like I suppose big part of the teams by video, each player at home, and we have a direct contact every day. But it's not the same thing, and even the players, like all the population, they don't trust that they can train 100% in the secure level. So we must give them confidence. I think when we restart again, like some teams in Portugal, we already start. They are training separated in very small groups, because only because the virus, because they are doing tests every day. And in the end, you cannot control, well, we have a doctor here that can give the proper answer to this issue, but we cannot control 100% that when one player goes to the supermarket, even with masks and gloves, something can happen. And for all the news, the players stay 24 hours at home. They hear a lot of things in the news and they are confused. So to restart, we must follow these plans, like in the Portuguese league also build a plan similar. That's what happened, the same thing in Germany or in Spain. The plan is depends of the demands of the government, but can start 31st of May or 7 of June and play all the games until the end. But first, the players must trust that they have no problems to catch the virus. You know?
And of course, it's impossible to guarantee 100% of the players just not catching it. There is a little bit of a legend, a myth perhaps, and I need Fran to help me on this one, because it's been said that, of course, it affects certain ages and men mostly, and people with underlying issues as well. But does that mean that players at the peak of their physical powers are safe, completely safe, Fran, of catching it and going through the worst part of it?
A Montpellier player yesterday, 23 years old, was taken to ICU with suspected COVID-19. I mean, wow. So it's 23. You can imagine, I mean, this illness, as I said, if you take overall any illness, well, you say, okay, like statistically, affects this, that, and the other. This is something new that we are obviously, kind of, having, more serious. It's more serious, when people have what we call comorbidities, which is, added illness. When they have, as you said, males are more likely to have it, because of genetic, whatever, whatever it is. And as I said, we are learning day by day. We are kind of, discovering new things day by day, because it's a new illness that we haven't got a global, preventive measure, which will be, a vaccine or something that we can kind of cure it, that way. And when the illness is hitting you, believe me, we've been struggling to find, what's the best treatment for these guys, because it's for our patients, because it's not a major, kind of, drug tried that and effective, that is being proven, for these guys. So overall, it can affect everyone. Most likely, if you are young and healthy, even if you have a serious form, that's what we've been seeing. And now that we are learning, how to identify what we call some factors, that can kind of, like alert us, like that the patients are going to go badly, and we can use, some treatment that has been proven to be effective. It's a very disabling, even, like long-lasting illness for a young people. Usually, like they don't die. Usually now we learn, that we stop them to go to the ICU, but still, like this guy, 23, is in ICU.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, but quite clearly, when you go through it, anything is possible, because it's not always possible to stop the progression of the illness. That's one of the things that obviously we're learning. And if you are more immune or stronger, you can defend yourself better. But Danny,
correct.
When you hear all this, and you hear, of course, that clubs are pushing towards the idea of playing, and they're saying that you will be safe on the pitch. And I'm going to be playing devil's advocate here, because you all will be tested at the professional level. You will be tested days before, you will be tested on the day, you will be tested after. So those that are going to be playing will be completely free of COVID anyway. You hear all that, and what do you think? You look forward to playing football, or does that make you think twice?
No, I'm really looking forward to come back to playing. As a player, I think all you want to do is get back to play, and especially if they are telling us everything will be safe and they're going to do the proper test. So why not? I think as well for the whole community, for the whole country, I think it will be good, because even if they are at home or they have to stay in isolation, then at least they can watch football at home, and then they will make it a bit more bearable. So definitely, I can't wait until we can start playing again.
Is that the feeling that the teammates have got? I mean, I'm sure you in your WhatsApp groups, you talk about this and how much you want to go back. But have you heard any concerns from anybody in your team?
Yeah. A few people, they are more concerned, not about themselves. They are more concerned about the family. So obviously, some players got maybe their wife pregnant, or they got small kids like myself, or old people living with them. So I think it's not maybe concern for themselves, because we feel sometimes as a player, we feel a bit like indestructible. We feel like we are at the peak of our power. So we are not really scared for ourselves, but as I say, it's more for other people who are in our environment.
And of course, meanwhile, you've been trying to keep fit and you've been working. It's not the same to do it on your own, even though some managers, and we're going to hear from José about this, keep monitoring you through you filming yourselves, or through Zooms and stuff like that, so they can see what you're doing, a little bit like you feel that they are on top of you. What was your situation? Did you sense that the manager was on top of you while you were preparing?
To be honest, we haven't had the matches. We go giving a plan, and I think as a player you have to be professional enough to do it yourself, because at the end of the day, it's not for the manager, it's not for anyone, just for yourself. Because if we are going back and you haven't trained for 5 weeks, you only got to yourself to blame. You might get injured. So the best thing, and I think more of the players, I know they will be doing the work, because obviously they will look after themselves, and it's the best for them and the team.
Mm-hmm. Have you asked, or anybody's informed you within the club, or your agent perhaps, what happens if you or somebody decides not to play because they don't feel it's safe for them to do so? What happens then? Have you heard anything on that?
No, to be honest, we haven't heard anything. I think everyone at this moment in time, they just can't wait to get back to play. So on that matters, I haven't heard anyone or any other players, because we go, as you say, a WhatsApp group with other players, and I haven't heard anyone saying they're not willing to play.
José, have you heard any of your players perhaps, or other players on other clubs that they thinking like, under these conditions, we just don't want to play? Have you heard anything of that?
In Portugal, happened a funny thing, because before we stopped the league planned to play in the closed doors, so no people in the stand, no public, and the players refused to play. Okay, but now they won't return. Okay. Like everybody, is missing something in our life. Everybody wants to return. And I'm sorry, Fran, to say this, but we live now in this moment in our lives that we control everything with the mobile phone. And certainly a very, very, very small thing that you cannot even see, and nobody knew anything about it, brought the alarm and panic in our society. Even the doctors, they couldn't explain how this worked, like Frank explained a few minutes ago. And so the reaction was close and stop everything. Mm-hmm. And maybe 1 year later, we will laugh for a lot of things that we are doing now. So, for example, in Portugal, in 2019, 3,000 people passed away with flu, okay? Normal flu. And now with the COVID-19, around 800 persons. Of course, we must be careful about it. But what happened, it was a normal thing. The doctors and the political, they tried to put the people in the safe position and protect everything and close everything. Okay, it's done. But now it's arrived the time that we must start opening, even to give hope to the people. Like Daniel said, even if we play, without public in the stands, it's a hope signal to everybody. Well, we have football again, because the emotional part of the human being is the same important than the physical, sometimes more. It's important that the people feel hope in the life that, well, this is better because now they are playing football. Of course, we must respect everything, and please don't judge in bad way my words. I'm sorry, Frank.
No, well, in fact, again, being devil's advocate, you say you relate to the flu a little bit, what's happening now, but in Spain, there's an increase of 70% of deaths compared to last year at this stage, which means that, of course, it has had a massive impact, much bigger than flu would have had. But I know what you're trying to say is like life has to continue somehow. And I've always felt in the works I've done doing the biographies of players like Cristiano and Messi, that the thing that kills a player is the doubt. If he goes into the pitch with a little bit of doubt, that could be not as bad as a virus, but certainly something that stops them performing at the best. And your job is to take that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. That's why I said before that they must trust. They must trust. Of course, they want to play, but it's important that they trust. Well, with this test that we are doing, the opponent, they don't have any player with this problem. We can play in the safe way.
Jose, the problem is, I thought, a bit that with the information that we have from China, I mean, I'm talking, from the scientific, point of view. And I also thought, that was, kind of a weird flu, all right? And after seeing what I'm seeing, I can tell you that this is not flu. As I tried to explain to you before, I think, you guys in Portugal, I have to say, from how you tackle, the illness, I mean, I only, I can say that I really pray, from the guys, for your politicians are the way, but you have to consider that Portugal is completely different from Spain in terms of population, concentration of people, and how the illness, has evolved, it's attacked, more polluted areas, northern Italy, industrial areas, and heavily populated areas. Luckily, in our place, in Malaga and in Andalusia, it has we call it, the Andalusia miracle, but it's got, a scientific explanation. Everything revolving science. I'm sorry to say, that involves science. And only, the guys that are really day by day, can tell you probably, with more grounds than a lot of people that are informing about this thing. And as I said to you, this is not flu, this is serious. And I don't want, to be, as I said, an alarmist or whatever. Now, the Bundesliga, and Germany has been another example, doing things right in terms of they followed with the science, told us that was the most effective measures, towards this illness without a vaccine, being a new illness and a contagious illness. And then the Germans did massive testing, and they are more advanced and whatever. They follow, the patterns that Korea. And obviously that was the science demonstrated that how to control the pandemic with the measures that we had, that Korea, were doing the right thing. And then Germany follow, and Portugal, whatever. And now Germany, the Bundesliga, that is being very well advanced because they already started training, because obviously they have more control of the pandemic, less mortality, better conditions, better ways, that they can control things, etc., etc. They are releasing a bit the confinement. They are in another phase, okay? But today, the labor minister said that the players have to play, using and wearing masks. I mean, as coming back to the question, I think, to rush to go back to the competition with the obsession to finish the competition at all costs, like the president of the LFP, said yesterday, the league has to finish yes or yes. Come on, guys, let's put that in perspective. Like you said, there must be an equilibrium between the whole bunch of factors that we are facing here. The best way, to have a bunch of guys, to compete, even in a contact sport, that don't forget, I always said to my colleagues, and that I retired playing football when I was 40, competitive football, not obviously at the high standard, but even if I'm an attacker, I can say to the guy, from the psychological point of view, even if I'm wearing a mask, oh, I got coronavirus, don't mark me, because probably I'll spit on you. The psychological game of football. I mean, if someone tests positive, you have to obviously trade, the whole team, and who knows, that someone is going to test positive, then you have guys that can be false negatives and then have symptoms. The safest way, to return to play is obviously doing massive testing. No doubt about it. I mean, and you guys, let's do that. I mean, we talk about the ethical issues, but obviously if you do massive testing, you're gonna minimize, the kind of the spread, and you're gonna have, a control. I mean, and even, we can use, the footballers, to test, how the immunity and how, everything is involved, because even we don't know at this moment what is the right immunological profile of people passing or not passing the coronavirus, because we don't know it.
The problem is that the Spanish league would say that there is 180,000 jobs at stake, directly or indirectly, and they could lose over €1 billion if football doesn't return, for television rights, foreign television rights, etc. So again, we find in here, and I find this conversation fascinating, because it's that balance, financial situation and the health situation. But you've been put on the spot here and told you have to play with masks. Will you play with the mask? You'll have to, of course, but how would that feel like?
Playing with masks is not something I thought in my lifetime we have to do, to be honest. So I don't know, but I think it will be almost quite impossible to do, because it's a professional contact. It's a contact sport, so you will have to just be close to marking a player, especially a defender. And I use my body, my arms quite a lot. So I just think it will be almost impossible to play with mask. I just think, as Fran said, I remember talking to my doctor when this first started in China, and he was a bit more dismissive of the virus. He said, oh, it's just like flu. A lot of people die of flu. So I don't know why so much alarm to it. But as the week passed by, I started seeing like he was a bit more nervous about it. And this was just a normal flu. Even at the end, that's what happened. Everything stopped. So then I keep asking him, oh, I thought you thought it was just like a flu. And even he didn't know the answer, to be honest, but he thought this wasn't just a normal flu. To be honest, I got it wrong. I said, I hold my hands up, but this just not a normal flu. This a lot worse. I just read the other day about Pepe Reina had it, and he said this was the worst moments of my life. At one point, I couldn't even breathe, and that's when I got a bit scared, because I thought he's at the peak of his power, top of the game, and he was almost going to die. So after that happened, I got quite scared. So as a France, I just think we have to be careful and return to football when it's safe. I know it might not be 100% safe, but we have to minimize the problems or come back to early.
But if during the game the striker says to you, "Be careful because I've got coronavirus," what do you do? Does it make you think twice?
Well, to be honest, I think if the test, we have to do the test before the game and and after the game. So if everyone come back negative, then once I'm playing, I think he's just trying to play mind tricks. So I will not really listen to him, to be honest.
Jose, you're not the usual manager in that you're trying to study, learn about life, not just football. So I'm going to throw to you an ethical conundrum here, because there are not enough tests right now in Spain, for instance, for frontline workers. The same in the Premier League and in England. But football leagues are buying tests privately, even though it's not being encouraged by governments either. Not fully legal though. In any case, those I think it's about 2,000 tests that they will have to do per game, per fixture list, and that takes them away from the ones that are fighting in hospitals and close to the illness itself. Do you think ethically that's right, that football are ahead?
No, of course not. Everybody, like people that is working in football, we must understand that more important than this is the life. We must respect it. And if you ask to any manager or any player what you want, play and use the test that could be more important for a doctor or for a nurse that is working in the hospital and trying to help to save lives daily. Of course, all of us will. Our answer will be give the tests to that people, of course. But if you listen what Daniel said in this our conversation, for one side he wants to play, but for another side he wants to feel completely safe. So, and this feeling that he has is the feeling of all the people that is working in football, And I agree with Frank. It's not the easy thing, this decision. Okay, go play. It's difficult. I don't know which politician will start with giving the first permission, but it will be a very difficult decision because so many things that we don't know about this virus.
I'll tell you the position of La Liga. Javier Tebas, about the tests of players. Javier Tebas, the head of La Liga, is saying, look, SEAT and so many other companies, banks, they're also buying private tests for the workers, because we've been asked that the economy has to continue, otherwise everything is going to collapse, and the deaths that are going to come from for being poorer or from the economy not functioning means that the disaster could be even worse. So the private companies are saying we do it to save or to help our workers to return to work, and football is just one of many, not the only company that does that. So does that change your mind a bit in terms of okay, you're not taking away those tests from doctors, you're actually doing it, buying it to help workers to go back to work as well?
Yeah, it's a very good idea. But the question that you put to me was, what you think?
Take it from
to take the test from another people. This is a completely different situation, and it is a big opportunity to help the system, to help all the health systems in the Europe.
I think within the medical profession we are a bit wary about the information that came from China, but knowing what was happening in Italy, and Italy is just next door to us. Obviously, some countries are preparing in one way, and some countries are preparing another way. Some countries took some measures, some countries provide themselves with whatever. So there is a big variability of things, and as I said, we can be debating here forever. But I mean, let's try. I'll try to again, like focus. Germany, they started manufacturing, their own test. All right, so they don't have to rely on external sources. And Germany started doing massive testing to everybody. And then in that context, like for if all the health workers, all the frontliners, and everybody, that needs a test for whatever is available and how things are evolving, has the opportunity to have it and to work safely, fine. I have no issues, like that. A private business or whatever, or the economy, and to be able, like, to come back safely. I mean, like I said, if they want all the workers, to have 15,000, PCRs, before coming to work, that's entirely, like kind of, I haven't got any ethical issues. But in Spain, our government, I mean, I will say a phrase, and I'm talking now in representation of the Spanish Society of Emergency Medicine, because I'm a member of the board. They have thrown us, to fight a big war, with what I said, with little stones. So sometimes, there's been an issue in Spain, and obviously, I don't want to be critical. I'm stating facts, and even now, the trade unions, are taking the government to court, etc., etc. I mean, in my case, I'm very proud to say that in my hospital, we never had, a lack of equipment. We've been supported. I don't know how the guys, did it, but, we never had the nurses, we all had. But and then we're starting to be tested.
I think we touched on practically everything that has to do with what is happening right now, because it's been another hour talking about it anyway. But I just want to thank Fran and Danny and Joseph for the time that you've given us, and keep safe, all of you. Thank you very much for your points of view. And
thank you, my pleasure.
Everybody's sake, we want football to return as soon as possible, but as safe as possible as well. Thank you all.